Hi, I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And together we are East-West Audio Body Shop. Well, this week we're going to end summer on a great note because we've got a social media roundtable coming up on East-West Audio Body Shop this week. We've got some great guests. Jerry Reed, Trish the Dish Pisani, John Lano, the lovely Lisa Rice, and Derek Chappell. All experts on social media. They'll answer our questions, discuss all sorts of stuff, and answer your questions.
If you're wondering where to put your social media efforts, because there's so many places to put them these days, you got to watch this show.
If it wasn't for social media, how would you know about us? And join us in the chat room. East-West Audio Body Shop, this Monday night, 9 o'clock in the East.
And 6 o'clock in the West.
And we'll see all of you there.
He's the home voiceover studio engineer to the stars in Los Angeles, California. A Virginia Tech grad whose knowledge of the latest recording gear is second to none. He's a voice actor and the home studio master, hailing from Buffalo, New York. His home studio skills and knowledge of voiceover recording is unmatched. When Dan and George talk shop, people listen, and the talk continues tonight. Welcome to East-West Audio Body Shop. And now, live from his high-tech facility in Santa Monica and his penthouse studio in Buffalo, here are George Whittam and Dan Leonard.
Good evening. I'm Dan Leonard. At least I was in the East this morning.
And this is George Whittam in the West.
And together we are East-West Audio Body Shop. Well, I'm here in Southern California, but not with George. I'm at my mom's house in lovely Orange, California. But we'll be getting together this week for Voice 2014, which should be a lot of fun. When we get to share a room.
Are we really going to do that again this year?
I think unless they're giving you a room, because I got two beds.
I think
this is how George cheaps out on everybody.
I think I get a room one night.
I'll just hang out with Dan.
It ain't me. It's fine. No. Yeah. No, anyway, I'm notoriously cheap.
Yes. So if you're going to Voice 2014, we'll see you there.
Right.
Also, we need to thank our fantastic sponsors. Of course, Harlan Hogan over at voiceoveressentials.com, VoiceOver Extra, and your wonderful employers, Edge Studio. They get their website's like almost ready to explode, isn't it?
I know. They'll have a new website ready in a few weeks, but they'll have a mini site that they're going to launch at Voice that is a much easier place to find content and get people in the right place. And once the new site is built, everybody will get to see the new site. But, well, you guys have built websites. Imagine building one that's 100 times more complicated than yours. And that's how hard it is to build the Edge website.
I can't wait to see it. It probably does everything.
Me too. I hope so.
Anyway, tonight we have another special roundtable. And this time tonight, we're going to talk about technology, but not technology in the way we would normally talk about technology here at East-West Audio Body Shop. We're going to talk about how you can improve your business through social media. And with us tonight are a bunch of folks who use social media to its max and are all successful voice actors in their own right. And let's go around. I'll introduce everybody, starting off with John Lano, who needs to unmute his microphone. Unmute everybody's microphone.
I'll just unmute everybody. Here we go. Unmute all. Boom.
Okay. John, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Dan. I'll start off by correcting you that it's Lano and not Lano.
John Lano.
Hey, I'm out here in Minneapolis, so I'm doing great.
Outstanding. Right below him is Trish Pisani, the purple one, the Trish the Dish one. You were known by so many different things.
Well, I'm a woman of many hats. What can I say?
I've seen some of them.
Where the heck are you? Where are you located?
I'm in New Jersey.
Jersey.
She's in New Jersey. Joining us from Virginia, from the Virginia countryside, one of my favorite people, Lisa Rice.
Hello. I'm from Virginia, but I grew up in Indiana, so that's why I don't have a 7
in Indiana. Whenever I'm flying across the country, you can ask Anthony Gettig this because I was talking to him on Skype as I was flying. I'm flying over Gary, Indiana. I'm saying Gary, Indiana, Gary, Indiana, Gary, Indiana. Then it's like Chicago, my kind of town. And then it's like Old Man River. Then there's no song for the Missouri River. And then there's nothing else until you get to California. But
how about that old Snake River?
I don't know that one.
Oh, yeah, me neither. I'll write that after the show.
Also joining us, Jerry Reed. How you doing tonight, Jerry?
I am great. A little bit east of Dan, in upstate New York. And, I've been trying to figure out all week, why am I here? I don't consider myself an expert, but I do some unique things. So we can talk about that tonight.
Well, feel free to intervene and chime in whenever somebody says something you're like, I tried this or I tried that. Also, somebody who has mastered the art of blogging because he puts everybody else's blog in his blog, and really keeps us all entertained and showing us what's really going on in the voiceover world. Derek Chappell, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. Doing great. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. I am in Ottawa, Kansas, which is right about in the middle of the country. I'm about 35 minutes south of Kansas City, home of the Kansas City Royals.
Everything's up to date in Kansas City.
The Kansas City Royals, who happen to be in first place in the AL Central for probably the latest time since I remember, since '85 when we won the World Series. So kind of exciting in this part of the country right now.
So when you look up the definition of flyover state on Wikipedia, it shows Ottawa, Kansas.
Yeah. Be sure and wave at me. I am right here, right in the heart of the Midwest. Yes.
Yeah, I love it.
And I did. So let's go around the horn here, and because everybody here has their own way of doing social media. We'll start with you, Derek. And what are some of the things that you do on social media that really work for you, or at least are things that are really getting you attention?
Well, I think the first thing that without any technicality, I think the first thing is persistence that I have. I try every day to be there, whether it be, I have two theories of my social media, the way I look at it. I have what I call internal and external. External is the way I look at clients or potential clients, those not in the VO world, if you will. Internal being all of us, friends in the voiceover business. And I see two ways to use the social media in the internal and external. So I try and be out there both ways because both ways for me work as far as getting business, getting clients, and keeping up with the trends and with friends in the voiceover business and clients as well. As far as the external goes, I've got about three things I look at. I try and excuse me, I've got to put these on to read some notes I made because I had an eye exam today and my eyes are still dilated. So you all look like people with brand new Twitter accounts that just have the heads, because that's really about all I can make out right now. So I apologize for the glare, but I can't see squat. There's three things I do with the external, and we'll talk about that with clients or potential clients. One is you can prospect for clients, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever it is, using hashtags, using search names, anything that in the voiceover business might gain you some clients. That's the first thing I try and do with some of my social media plans. The second is to research clients. If you have somebody that's contacted you or you want to learn more about that, maybe you're working for this certain client, well, I Google them first, and usually you'll get a list of if they're on Facebook, if they're on Twitter, if they're on LinkedIn, you'll find a whole list of what they do. And I jump on those and try and find out more about the client themselves. You can find out people specifically to talk to. You can find out their attitude, what their product is that you may not have a clue about initially when you talk to them. To me, that's one of the biggest reasons I use it is to find out more about the client who I may be working for, whether they're a production company or an end client themselves. And third is to share, join that client, follow that client, whatever, see what they're about, share their stuff, be sure they see you sharing their stuff, that you're interested in them as a client. And it's a great way to build a rapport with a potential client or a client you already have. That's kind of how I look at it from the external. And the internal, I just share everybody else's stuff and just pay it forward, and it comes back to you.
Brilliant.
Interesting. Trish, what about you? You are literally a social media butterfly.
She's a maven. She's a social media superstar.
Yeah, at some point we're going to make everybody divulge how many followers they have on each of the major platforms.
Like she like trumps everybody on the whole
Oh
screen.
yeah, you could add us all together, and we don't have as many as Trish has.
Yeah.
I've been on Twitter. Well, Twitter is my favorite. I just got on there early. I think I have 17,000 followers.
That's it.
And I kind of built it organically, and I just really felt myself really liking the interface of Twitter generally. And then I got on TweetDeck, and TweetDeck was really what kind of launched me. So that's mostly what I use. I have a Facebook.
Can you define what a tweet deck is for those of us?
I'm sorry. TweetDeck
illiterate.
Secret weapon here, folks.
app for Twitter. I actually personally don't like the actual interface, like twitter.com. So a lot of people use apps for the different social media websites, and Twitter in specific. That it's just an extra app. It's actually a standalone on your desktop that you use to kind of break everything down a little bit easier. I just found Twitter is too much especially with as many people. I follow pretty much as many people as are following me. So, 16,000 people, 17,000 people is too much. So TweetDeck kind of breaks it down into columns, and it kind of makes it a little more digestible to the information that you really want to get a hold of. So that's I've been on it for years. I still like it. I tried Hootsuite. It's almost too much for me. I'm still trying to give it a shot, but I still wind up going back to TweetDeck all the time and Twitter. I have a Facebook page. I do post on it occasionally, but I found that I'm just getting less and less views unless I pay, which is kind of annoying. So,
Topic idea, because I want to bitch about that.
But Twitter is still kind of on top of my list. Although I have been using LinkedIn a little bit more, but I'm still learning about it, so I can't really talk as an expert on it yet.
I've been on LinkedIn a while. It can work for you. It's really more designed for business as opposed to being social media. It's business social media.
Mm-hmm. They've come out with a lot more features though lately. So
feature creep.
Checking it out.
Mission creep, is that what you said?
I have a bad habit of talking over you guys. Feature creep is what I call it.
Feature creep.
When they keep adding, they keep adding features because they're going, well, if Twitter is doing it or if Facebook's doing it, we should be doing it because we lose audience because they think it's all about features, and it's not. I think it's all about the community that's there and the interface, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Lisa, what works for you?
Well, I was on Facebook for about a week, and I don't know why, but I just didn't like Facebook. I felt like, first of all, it was kind of like a magnet from everybody from high school, wanting to, or whatever you do, friend you or whatever. And that's not why I started using social media, was to connect with people from high school or people in the community. I don't mean to sound like a snob, but I primarily did social media in the very beginning, prompted by Dave Courvoisier, listening to a podcast that he did originally. And I just thought, I've got to try this. So Facebook I just didn't like it. So then I got on Twitter, and I love Twitter. Twitter for me, it first of all, you have to be smart in your head to be able to use those 140 characters. It's a challenge. It's almost like a little puzzle every time you want to go tweet. I find that challenge, just, how to reword something. Maybe it's because I have a journalism minor and you used to have to come up with headlines. I don't know what it is about that, but I really like that. I like that just like Derek had mentioned, it's kind of an internal and external. I have connected with so many people in the VO community that I never would have met, and learn a whole lot from everyone's links and things like that. Then externally, I have found that I don't know so much that people are following me on Twitter that are calling me to be hired or thinking of hiring me, but I know that Twitter helps in the search engine. And I am not paying to be on the front page for female voiceover talent, but somehow I am. And I can only attribute that to Twitter and to Pinterest. And I would say that's my second love. And I don't use it for personal. What I've done is I had a zillion bookmarks over the years that I had collected of things. Oh, that was a good article or whatever. Or favorites. When I would be going through my Twitter stream, I would favorite certain things and think that I want to go back to that. Well, what I did once I set up my Pinterest was to separate everything into different boards that I felt were relevant to voiceover. And then I started pinning on those relevant boards. And so now I have somewhere to also promote my blog, which my blog I don't do necessarily in the same way that Derek does. I always look at my blog as a way to kind of just show a different side of my personality other than my demos, to allow people to get to know me, get to see different sides of what I'm about, and then also share what's on my heart. And then every once in a while, I'll get an epiphany about something with voiceover, and I'll post that on my blog. But it's being on social media allows that crossover between LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Twitter. I'm able to bring people into what's going on my site, highlight my work, that kind of thing. So I would say Twitter's number one, and Pinterest is number two for me. LinkedIn's number three. I get on LinkedIn though because there's a lot of my customers and potential customers, and I have a few other things to say, but I'll wait to see if I get the opportunity.
Yeah. Pinterest is one of those ones that I'm like, huh? I remember Dave Quavasi mentioning that to us, and it's like, oh, here's something new. Here's Pinterest, and he starts going on, and I'm like, I didn't get it.
I'll tell you. I'd love to tell you about it. It's an awesome site. It really is.
Well, describe it a little bit.
Well, the way I describe Pinterest is in the old days, before we had digital media, it'd be like if you were in your office, and I'm going to do it from a business sense. You were in your office and you had a bulletin board for all the articles that
you mean like this?
Yeah. Exactly.
Look, it's his wall.
No, it's my mother's wall.
Well, she needs to get on Pinterest. But, all the articles that pertain to, for me, writing, or all the articles that pertain to technical things. If you could put a little, a bulletin board with all of the projects that you voiced that you would like to tell people about. And so what you do is you create boards on Pinterest. You name those boards. You can name them anything you want. And then from that, you start pinning digitally what pertains to that board. And so for me, I have one called Introspection, and that's all of my blog articles. Another one is technical, and a lot of stuff maybe that you've written, Dan or George. Just anything that pertains to the technical side of voiceover. I have another one on writing. I have a board on things that I am passionate about, that I like to give to, or you can just come up with a zillion different things. But then from there, I have another one that's called Inspiration, and it's just all those little things that you see that would be a poster, and you just pin it to that board. It's pretty awesome. And I got rid of all those bookmarks. Now I have separated those bookmarks into something relevant, where if I wanted to remember what was that article I read about, I'll go to that board and I'll be able to find it and share it on Twitter or LinkedIn, exactly from there, or email as a friend to a friend or whatever.
Oh, it's like a digital quilt.
It's a digital wall of bulletin boards is what it is.
There you go.
Easily accessible.
All right. Well, that brings up all sorts of ideas that we can talk about here. John, what about you?
Hey, thanks, Dan. Well, I have to agree with Lisa and Trish. I absolutely love Twitter. The thing about Twitter, the way I see it is as one giant conversation, and it's okay to interrupt any conversation that's going on. And unlike Facebook, unlike a lot of other things, a lot of stuff is hidden. But on Twitter, you can pretty much see everything, and you can go to someone's profile, see pretty much everything they've ever tweeted, jump in on it, and it won't be, a weird thing to do. So it's a great way to make connections with all kinds of different people. But in general, though, social media, the way I see it is one giant, like Twitter, one giant like party with different rooms, and each room is LinkedIn, one room is Google Plus, which I don't like very much. One room is Facebook, one room is Twitter, all of that. And one room is Pinterest, and then in each room there's different rules, different social norms with what you do and how you connect with those people. And so, like I said, with Twitter, similar to Trish and everything, what they were saying is that it's so nice to be able to reach out to anyone very easily and connect with them. And I would say that social media, the way I see social media, is not really broadcasting what I'm doing. It's more so, as Derek was talking about, kind of fostering those relationships and kind of researching companies, and then reaching out to them in all different kinds of social media areas, and kind of creating a relationship that's really well rounded, so you can show different sides of your personality, like Lisa was talking about. So yeah, I love social media.
Obviously, you wouldn't be here. Jerry, what about you?
Well, I kind of use it. I like Twitter the best of all of them, but I use them all. LinkedIn I like a lot because it allows me to stay in contact with people that I have made contact with. And with LinkedIn, people don't disappear. If they change an email address or something, they're still there, and you can still find them if they move from one place to another. They're usually still there, and you can stay connected. That's why I like LinkedIn a lot for that. I use Twitter a lot, but I use it more in a different way, more to call attention to what I do. I'm also an avid nature photographer. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I share my photos and make some connection to the fact that I also do voiceover when I share my photos. I usually put my branding on each photo. People love photos. It gets a lot of conversation going, but it's also, to me, it's a way to promote myself, but not being blatant about it. Here's some great photos I took. I wasn't in the studio today, so I was out doing these things. And the other way I used, what's that?
Your photos are beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. Fantastic.
The other way I use Twitter is when I friend somebody, or when I connect to somebody or follow somebody. For example, a video production company or somebody who's doing explainer videos, documentaries, or something along those lines. When they follow me back, I always acknowledge that they followed me back, and at the same time say, if you need a voice, I'm just a tweet away. And then a link to my demos. And I get a lot of great feedback doing that. So those are some of my little tidbits.
Yeah, it's amazing. You don't think about these things. I mean, obviously you guys do, but I mean, there's so many of us in the business, and you don't think about, wow, you do this, you could do that, because there's so many different parts to social media.
I love that each of you folks that have spoken up have had a unique perspective, and you're using a lot of the same tool. You all love Twitter, but you're all using them in slightly different ways. It's pretty amazing to hear all the different perspectives on that.
Well, I have to echo what Jerry said about when I do the same thing. If I see, for example, let's say it'll show up sometimes on my Twitter, and I use Hootsuite. Trish, sorry, I tried TweetDeck. I'm like you. I tried TweetDeck, didn't like it. I went back to Hootsuite. I love it because of the features you have, but I'm like you. I can't do the Twitter interface just straight out. It drives me nuts. Plus the features you get with like Hootsuite or TweetDeck, the time tweets, the things you can do that you can't do on the Twitter interface. But
I agree.
Like if Trish follows a production company or they follow her and I see that, or they follow me and I see that they followed somebody else, I'll do the same as Jerry. I will follow them back, send them maybe a direct message or a note that says, hey, great to meet you, great to follow, whatever, and just open that door. And I think that is what so much of the social media is about, that you can take advantage of without being over the top and without being obnoxious. I mean, you don't want to send a tweet back that says, hey, here's my demos and I'm the best thing there is. If you develop the relationship, that's the key. And I've had that happen with a couple of production companies now that I have sent a tweet to, just said, hey, are you accepting people for your roster talent? If so, where do I direct that? If you're that way with it and not in their face, you can develop that conversation and that relationship. And I think that's a big use of social media that some people either don't get or don't think about or do it wrong, if you will. And I'm not an expert here. I'm just telling you that right from the start. I know in your promo you call us experts, Dan, but here's my expertise. I try it, and if it works, great. If it doesn't work, I go to something else. That's my expertise. But I think
you know more than me.
Well, it's the relationships you develop. For example, I met you, and I met Lisa, and I met Trish at FAFCon in Atlanta. Okay, that's how I knew you guys. And from there, and that was in 11. Social media was kind of going, it was big, but since then I've developed that relationship with you guys. John and Jerry, I met through social media. I wouldn't know these guys if it wasn't for Facebook, Twitter, and by the way, Twitter's my favorite as well. But and their blogs, of course, since I read everybody's blog. But that's how I developed those relationships as well. And that's another. I talked earlier about the external way I use Facebook. One of the internal ways is develop the friendships with other talent. I've had people, friends, refer clients to me or certain things to me, or I've worked with Lisa before. She needed just a voice on a thing she was doing, and if it wasn't for that connection we had through social media and et cetera, she wouldn't have thought of me at all. But that's the key to this, is the relationships and fostering those relationships. And that's why earlier I said that, the persistence. If you're on every day, you're top of mind with some people, maybe not this day, but maybe that day, it's out there, and it can only help you if you keep at it. So that's kind of my 2 cents on the internal way I use it as well with friends.
Let me say one other thing about about blogs, and we've all talked about our blogs here. And I don't know too many people that treat their blogs the way I put mine together, and I still am puzzled why not in this industry. When I do a blog, at the top of every blog is the audio version of me doing that blog. I don't know why other people don't do that.
I can tell you some of it, Jerry, is time.
Yeah,
that's part of it for me.
But it takes me 2 minutes to read my blog, and put it on SoundCloud and put the link on my blog.
And I will say, you're one of a handful that does that. There's not that many that do.
Yeah. To me, it's an obvious, we're in the voiceover business. Why shouldn't we do it with our voice?
Yeah. I feel like I literally am lucky some days, just because I'm a busy mom still, and to get a blog entry out even is like, I'm just so tickled. It's a star for the day. So to do the VO version of it would really, I agree though, it's an awesome idea. I do want to say that I don't know who's watching, who's listening, but I had a customer come to me, and that's what you were referring to, Derek, and Dan was one of the other voices, and you both were chosen. I had a customer come to me and want me to cast for a real person. They didn't want to have to go out with a microphone and interview patients or potential people on what they were looking for in healthcare. So they came to me and they said, could you find some real people sounding voiceover talent, and go ahead and audition, gather the auditions, and get them to us. And I was like, sure, I mean, I got paid to do that part of the job. They were using me as the main voice. And I cannot tell you how many times I would go back through my stream, because I am not a talent agent. I'm not an agent. I just got asked to do that. I love doing that. And I worked as a television producer at one time and would have to cast. But at this point, I'm only doing voiceover, but I went ahead and said yes. Well, I can't tell you how many times people would not have a link on their Twitter account. And I knew maybe they were Hispanic speaking, or they were Mandarin, or, whatever. I was looking for a variety of voices. They didn't have a link on their Twitter account. And then I would Google them. They didn't have their own website. And then on top of that, they didn't have a LinkedIn account. And if they did have a LinkedIn account, they had no contact information on there. So how in the world are people supposed to get back or find you? And then on top of that, I finally would track these people down that I wanted all these different ethnicities or different types of voices. And some of them contacted me like a week later, and they're in voiceover. And I'm thinking, really, you cannot do that in this hustle type of industry that we're in. A week is way too late, and we had already cast it.
Absolutely. Well,
so
we're
use your link.
Yeah, we're going to continue with this. This is bringing up all sorts of thoughts of things we can really discuss around some of these points that you've brought up. And if you've got some questions out there in our chat room, please put them down there, and our wonderful producer, Catherine, will forward them to us so we can present them to our panel here. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break here. We'll be right back here at East West Audio Body Shop for our first social media roundtable. Do not go away.
Hey, honey, I bought you a new suit.
Oh, no. What fancy function is it now with all those hoity-toity people? What are they?
But, dear,
Is this for your work? Please don't tell me I have to sit with your BB again. Boring boss. If I have to,
No, it's not that.
Wait, is your sister getting married again? This is like her 4th or 5th time, poor guy. Somebody should warn him about...
Would you just listen?
I'd take any of these over the theater. Please don't make me go to another one of those over-the-top musicals you love so much. They just...
Okay, fine. I'll send it back. I think Dan has a return policy for his studio suits. I'm sure the UPS guy is still outside and
What?
he'll take it
Dan?
back.
Studio suit? Wait, honey, I didn't mean any of it. I love getting dressed up with you. Your boss is fascinating. Your sister is a catch. Honey, baby. Cats. That's it. Let's go see Cats again. That was my favorite one.
And we're back here on East West Audio Body Shop in our social media roundtable. I think it was a great joke I heard once that Jeffrey Katzenberg had just turned 30, which made him the youngest person on Facebook. So,
ouch.
That's about right.
Yeah, I mean, it started off. It started off at first. There was what was it? There was my page or MySpace, and then Facebook came along, and then all the kids were on it, and then all the parents got on it, and all the kids left, and then all the grandparents got on it.
My kids got if you say Facebook to my kids, they go, huh?
Huh? What?
My kids are mad though, because my daughters are mad because I have more followers and more tweets than they do, and they think that's stupid because their dad is more social media oriented. It really kind of ticks them off.
Well,
I don't know if you've noticed though, kids use Twitter like open texting. They don't use it the same way, at least that I'm using it. I'm appalled at the way if some kids knew, if some parents knew. I don't think they pay attention to Twitter, and it's pretty amazing what they'll.
I have my notifications set up so every time I have 2 daughters, 19 and every tweet they send hits my text on my phone, and so I see them. And I've called them out before, and boy, they don't like it, but it's come in handy a few times. But then again, my phone's blowing up all day because that's all they do, even in school. It amazes me that the teachers allow them to have their phones in class, and the kids are so good that they can sit with their phone down to their hand, down to their side. They don't have to look. They can tweet without even looking at their phone.
Not to go on a tangent, but did you ever guys hear about the ringtone that kids were using on their phones a few years ago? They found a ringtone that was super high frequency and so like the teachers who are mostly older, over 40, literally could not hear these sounds. So the kids, their phones are all blowing up. They're making all these sounds. They're ringing the text notifications. Nobody can hear it. They don't have vibrate on because the teacher can probably hear the vibrate. But they were just using this ringtone. Look, I swear, Google it, like adult-proof ringtones or whatever.
But every dog within a 2-block area of the school was going nuts too, right?
Yeah,
because they're the only other ones that could hear it.
Well, during the break, you guys, we were talking about what social media platform we kind of all universally are have distaste for, and that is Facebook. And what's happened with who should we start with here? What's happened at Facebook that has changed the use of Facebook from a marketing perspective? From an algorithm, because I know there's things changing from their algorithms as to what shows up in your news feed. So
you can have a business page there. I mean, you can have several different pages along with your personal page.
Oh yeah, well that's what they want. But how do you get people to see it?
You pay money.
To pay for them to see it.
That's it.
On your business page or on your page that you have. Your organic reach is extremely small, and they're very quick to say, you only got 69 that time. Geez, if you'd have spent some money, we could have made it X amount.
Yeah,
that's the come on.
Jerry's exactly right. It's the pay to play of social media now. If you want to be seen or your business page to be seen. You can have all the likes you want, but the way their algorithms work, 1 to 3% of your people that have liked it are going to see it, and that's it, unless you pay money.
Yeah, I would think that buying likes is really a silly notion. I mean, we know people that have bought 17,000 likes for something that they did. It's like, but we know that there aren't that many people who actually even know who these people are. So what's the point?
No, you got to do it like Trish did. You got to do it one at a time and do it organically. You can't just go buy 17,000 people to follow you. It does. What's the point?
I know PR companies for celebrities do it as a matter of course because they finally get around to launching a Twitter channel or whatever the heck it is, and they couldn't dare have the egg on their face of a celebrity of having only 7,000 followers.
Right.
You ever wonder how they go from having none to 2.4 million in like a month? Sure,
they pay big money for those.
Yeah, it ain't organic, folks.
One thing I can say about. Go ahead, Jerry.
No, go please.
One thing I could say. One way I use my Facebook business page, which I have seen, the views dwindle just like everybody else is. I'll put something on there to share, maybe a blog or somebody else's stuff, and then I will share it from my page to other pages. Because that way, when it shows up on some of the other groups or even on my personal page, sometimes when I share it, it will show you where it came from. It'll say Derek Chappell, the voice of your business, shared such and such. So at least that's a way without having to pay to have it be seen other places. And if anybody catches on, oh, Derek's got this business page, let's take a look at that. And they can click on it and see it that way. It's just a small little way to get it out there without having to pay for it.
I've also found with Facebook, one of the things that has changed considerably is the amount of reach of links that you've shared. So in order to get a link to be shared with other people, what I end up having to do is send a message that I liked a particular story in a particular publication, and then I put the link as a comment. And I seem to get better reach with that than just sharing the link itself, because the link itself, they treat links differently on Facebook than they do actual text.
Yeah. All I know
and
is
as soon as they tell us how, that would help, because that's one thing on Facebook that drives me nuts too, is their secretive nature of how they do what they do. And that's, I think, why all of us like Twitter so much. It's open, it's out there. It's like John said earlier, and Trish, you're going to see it. You're going to see everybody's stuff, and it's not decided for you what you see or who you see. With Twitter, you see your stream, you see who you follow, who follows you. That's one big plus for me. Twitter over Facebook.
Started
you're going to see it.
People don't realize that. A lot of people don't know that. But the reason that there's an @ mention thing in Twitter, and that there's a hashtag in Twitter, all that stuff was developed by the users. These were not features that Twitter came up with. So they have a very different perspective on building this community than Facebook. Facebook's all about, cooking up secret recipes behind closed doors, and Twitter is very different that way.
Yeah, it's more open source, as they like to say.
But once Facebook started to try to monetize everything, it just turned into a bunch of clickbait, where they just wanted people who paid money to have their dumb list of Kim Kardashian butt pictures, up there, and they don't think about the user. And as Derek was saying, I mean, Twitter is just, and George, as you pointed out, they listen to what people are using the @ sign. So we're going to incorporate that into what we're doing here, make it more of a big conversation that everyone can see all the time. And they've started to do advertising, but it is not even close to as obtrusive as the newsfeed advertising on Facebook.
Absolutely. Now we built, George and I built this show on Facebook and then on Google Plus. We found that as a promotional tool, it can be very, very effective, because you can reach a lot of people and directly hit your audience and stuff like that. But let's turn this around and really talk about this from a voiceover perspective. How do you really use all these things to generate voice work, and does it really work? I hear lots of different things from different people. Obviously, all of our guests here have had some success at it. So, Trish, why don't we start with you on that?
Well, I again use TweetDeck, and I have custom columns for things that I do searches for. So I'll fill out a column on TweetDeck to just do a search for either the voiceover hashtag, which is the # voiceovers, for those of you that don't understand hashtags, or just a phrase. Like, I created a column that says need voice talent or need female voice. And I put it in quotes, kind of like you would do on a Google search. And it specifically only does a search on Twitter for anybody that tweets with that exact phrase. So I have one column of just that. And whenever anybody tweets about it, it shows up in my TweetDeck, and I know to respond. And because Twitter is open, I can respond. If there's somebody that's following me, I can send them a private message. But generally, I just send them, and honestly, my biggest client to date has come from Twitter, and several of them that are up there have all come from Twitter, garnered from Twitter, like early on. We're talking 5-6 years ago. Or maybe, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 years ago. And, I just, that's kind of how I do it. It's been the same for me for a long time. And I've talked about it before. I'm still doing it because it still works.
Right.
Yeah. Derek?
Well, like Trish, you've got to work at it. I mean, it's not just because you throw up a Twitter profile and a Facebook page that the business is going to come to you. You still got to do the search. And figuring out ways to find clients is part of, I don't want to call it a trick, but it is part of the trick of how you use your social media. Like Trish, in the Hootsuite, I use the same thing. You can set up columns. You can search certain hashtags, the phrase explainer video or need a voice or whatever. You can do that. And people can find you that way. You can find people that way. Another way I use it is, like I said earlier, if I have a client or a potential client or even just somebody I might see on Twitter who's a production company or a business, I'll go search them out. And recently I had a client who I had done some work for a long time ago, and they contacted me again and wanted me to do their phone greeting and on-hold message. Fine, no problem. So when they sent me the email, I said, hey, I'll look them up. They'd moved to another state and opened another business there. So I went on and I found their YouTube page, their Facebook page, their website. I did everything social media to find out what they were. And I found these videos on their website that were frankly horrible. I think it was the owner's daughter who voiced them, and she was like 12 years old, and it was, probably cute at the time, but it was horrible for their business. And you got to be careful when you say things like that to the owners, because it might be their daughter and you might step on some toes. But in a nice way, I mentioned to them that, hey, I saw your videos. I do those too. If you have any others. And what I did is when they said, well, yeah, we may look into that, I basically dictated, it was a 30-second video for their business. I basically dictated it, put it in a script, did my own little sample demo and sent it back to them over their own video. And they went, oh, yeah, you can do that. And I've generated business that way. So it's however you can tweak it and what you can use. But I wouldn't have found those videos if I hadn't researched them, found their website, found their YouTube page, etc.
Hey,
so it takes some work. Yeah.
Hey, I got a quick question for you. How do you decide to send someone that over for their video? Because I feel like that could be a really sensitive thing. These people may have paid money for this.
Well, and I did. Yeah, I did it in it wasn't a way of saying, hey, this video really stinks. It was just, hey, here's what I do. And if you guys ever need something, here's what I can sound like on your videos if you ever need anything. It was a female voice. And the way I tweaked it was, if you ever need a male voice for these, here's what it'd sound like.
Perfect.
You didn't want to step on any toes. Well, that's the angle. And again, yeah, you don't want to fly in their face and go, boy, this stinks. Oh, that was your daughter? Sorry, it's great. But you got to be careful how you do it. But that's the angle I took was, if you need a male voice, here's what it'd sound like. And it worked out and well, and it could have backfired in my face, but I thought it was a chance to take, since I saw that opening there. But it's like anything else. You can't make social media your only marketing tool, but it's got to be in your arsenal and you got to figure out how to use it. And each of us have a different story to tell, I'm sure. It's just using your creativity to find it.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting way to look at it. Trish, go ahead.
To clarify my what I said was my dislike earlier on Hootsuite, I have too many accounts. I think I have 5 Twitter accounts total because I have a couple of side businesses and I tweet from each of those. Then I have matching Facebook pages for all of them. And then I have LinkedIn, and then I have, and I found that putting everything on Hootsuite, and I thought, when I first got Hootsuite, I thought, fantastic. I have everything all in one place. And it's actually too much. I actually kind of like having a very specified view of the things as I do them. And it's funny because I used to blast all of the, like all 5 social media sites with each of my tweets or whatever update I had. It would go to Facebook, it would go to Twitter. Where else did it go back then? God, I don't remember. It was a long time ago. And it would go, the same message would go everywhere. And then I thought, some of the stuff didn't mix or didn't match. So there are certain things that I'll post on LinkedIn. Then there's some things that I'll post on Twitter. And like, when I think about posting something, I know exactly which social media avenue I want to use. And just because they're so different and they're used differently. But anyway, Hootsuite was, if you have one LinkedIn account, one Twitter account, one Facebook page, Hootsuite is probably going to work really well for you. It's not that it just didn't work. It worked because it was just too much for me because I didn't like having. I realized I didn't like having everything in one view. I thought I would, but it was too overwhelming with too much information. So I just prefer now to go to TweetDeck, go to Facebook, go here and there on wherever it is that I decide to post for that particular update.
Yeah, you bring up something good. Oh, sorry, Jerry, you want to go ahead?
Let's go ahead, John.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, Trish, that you brought up something good there that made me think how in each platform, on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, there's a different language. There's a different way you say something. So having something cross-post across everything the same exact way doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me think of a book that I read recently. I think Derek, maybe we talked about that on Facebook or not, I'm not sure, but it's called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And then there's a longer title too, but it's by Gary Vaynerchuk. And I'm actually going to write that out in the chat room here. But it's a fantastic book. Just came out in the past few months, all about the different languages you use on different social media sites and how it makes no sense on Pinterest, but it actually makes perfect sense on Twitter and all of that. So.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard it explained. One of the best ways to think about Twitter or LinkedIn, specifically, probably Facebook too, I'm just not on there, is it's like a great big, we have like my local chamber of commerce will have after fives or whatever. And, you wouldn't just go into one of those and just start talking about yourself the whole time. So they suggest that you, talk a little bit about your business, ask them about their business, just share different facets of yourself, not constantly. I can't tell you how many times I'll look, someone will start following me on Twitter and they're a voiceover talent, and I'll look at their stream, and that's all it is constant promotion of themselves.
Save it for the pet peeves. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do a pet peeves rapid round at the end.
All right. Well, treat Twitter or treat social media just like you would if you were meeting somebody at a business meeting or an after hours type of deal. Talk a little bit about what you do, but ask other people. I love to find out about what everybody's doing. I wish people. Now I don't see a lot of people do what I do. I will use my my branding and then post a link to something I've done, a link to the video or audio of something I've done. I wish more people would do that. I love to see what all of my fellow voiceover talent are doing, and even production people that I follow are doing. I find it fascinating. It encourages me, and I like to. That's just a part of my personality. I like to encourage people. And if I don't know what you're doing, then I can't encourage you. And I like when people are honest too, that they're having a bad day or they are struggling or whatever, because that's what makes this digital world a little bit different. And that is the human connection. And you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, we've become a global village, and certainly we've become quite a village in the voiceover business, which I find really fascinating. Well, we're going to have a pet peeve round in a little bit, and we've got a few questions from some of our audience. And and there's a quick question I'm going to ask when we come back from the break here, and we'll talk about that in a second. So don't go away. More coming up here on our social media roundtable on East West Audio Body Shop. Don't go anywhere. Where would you go anyway? We'll be right back.
VO Studio Tech. Recording made simple.
Hi, I'm Peter McHugh.
This is Jim Tasker from Los Angeles, California.
Hi, this is Bill Ratner in Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Scott Rummel here in Yorba Linda, California.
Hi, my name is Rick Wasserman.
Hi, this is Tom Kane.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Marshall.
Hi, my name is Zurich.
Hi, I'm Mary McKittrick.
Randy Thomas chiming in.
Hi, this is Joe Szymanski.
Hey, this is Rick Robles.
Hi, my name is John Patrick Armstrong.
I was turned on to George by none other than Don LaFontaine, who always swore by his helmet.
George is absolutely awesome.
ISDN, Source Connect, Phone Patch, FTP, you name it, George has set it up.
It's really the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel free, safe, fearless, like anything is possible in here.
Unless you like to look for opportunities to waste time, call George.
And he did all of that, long distance over the phone and the internet.
I'm very happy with George, and I cherish him.
Thanks, George. You make it easy.
Hey guys, this is Tom, also known as the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants, and you want to fill your ear holes and your eye holes with Dan and George and the East West Audio Body Shop. Ah! Meow! Snails like it too.
That's awesome. And we're back. It's kind of hard to top that, isn't it?
I can't top that.
show off. I was showing off.
Anyway, we're talking about social media. One of the things that that it keeps me away from it, although you get sucked into it, is the time suck that social media. I think it's probably far more prevalent on Facebook. Than it is in other places. And I know there's a lot of people who are in the chat room, people who I talk to a lot. They're like, I got to stay out of there. On LinkedIn, there's the forums, and the forums sometimes can be fabulous, especially when they're led off by really stupid questions.
Everybody's stupid to you, Dean.
Yeah, well, and then JS will jump in on something. And when JS jumps into something, I got to get it on. And then Doug's in there, and then
pile on. It's like a dog.
There goes an hour.
It is. It's like, oh my goodness. Well, it's time for dinner. Well, what are you going to do? How do you stop it from being a time suck? Jerry, what about you? Start with you. We'll go around here.
Most of my social media I do first thing in the morning. It's my having my coffee kind of while I'm waking up kind of stuff that I do. I get up to date on what's going on in social media, do all the searches. I'm up early in the morning because I have a couple of dogs that get us up early in the morning. So I'm an early riser. So I spend maybe a couple hours just catching up on news, catching up on blogs, catching up on what's trending in the social media sites, and you definitely have to put a time limit on it. And I'm kind of an organized person anyway. I'll set certain parts of my day to do this and that, and then I break and go to the gym, and then come back and then do some more. And you have your certain times that, well, obviously it all has to take a back seat to whatever your voiceover business is. So if you've got jobs coming in and going on right at that particular time, then you do have to back off. There's no other way.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, well, I know Derek uses this as well, or I guess he normally use Hootsuite, but I really like Buffer app. It's bufferapp.com.
Yes, Buffer.
Buffer, it's a great thing for Twitter, which is clearly what we all like the most. And you can use it with Facebook as well. And basically, it allows you to schedule your tweets ahead of time. Now, a really cool little nugget, little insider tip is that there's also a website called Tweeriod. It's TWERIOD.com. And what that allows you to do is to see when your Twitter followers are on Twitter. It shows you, the highest points of when they're on Twitter. And then you can buffer your tweets. You can write a tweet ahead of time to have that go off at 3:00 in the afternoon when most of your Twitter followers are on, or whatever time it is. And so what I do is I'll oftentimes set that up in the morning or on Monday and set up tweets for the rest of the week or 3 days ahead or something. So then I can just batch that all together, in an hour's worth of time and be basically set up on Twitter for the rest of the week.
I'm writing that one down. I haven't heard of that. But I'm learning something on this show.
Well, that's why you're here. Lisa, I got to ask you, you don't have to, you're a full-time mom and a full-time voice. Where do you find the time to do any of this stuff?
Waiting for people to come out of sports practices, waiting to, like today at the orthopedic surgeon. No, I mean, my kids are at school, so, obviously not in the summer, but, a lot of times when I'm uploading files, I don't know. I do it. I have it on my phone. I have it on my iPad. I don't watch a lot of television. A lot of times I'll get on there at night. I just do it whenever I have time. I do not schedule tweets. I can see the benefit in scheduling tweets, although like when someone dies, like just happened in the past week, it was a little bit disconcerting sometimes to see those scheduled tweets come up right after like Robin Williams died. Right. And I don't know, they just seemed just so insensitive, I guess, I'm afraid
Interesting
of that.
point.
You know,
be aware of that. Keep an eye on that, and then you just go in and cancel your tweets.
Right. And I need to probably do that. I try to tweet at least 4 times a day. And and I don't schedule it. And I love John's. I would love to Twiriot. Is that what you called it?
Twiriot. It's like period, but like the
Twiriot.
Okay. Twiriot.
I think that I see some merit in that. So I probably need to be doing that. I just like I mentioned about my blog, I'm just giving myself a star if I if I get on and do anything relevant for my business. In between, I seem to audition. I feel like I audition the majority part of my day when I'm not voicing, and that takes a lot of time. And then we talked about the time suck, and I have to be really careful because it's interesting. Twitter is fun to me. So I have to kind of like be self-disciplined and say, okay, you've had your fun now. It's almost like recess, I guess, for the professional. And I got to go back in the booth and I've got to get serious. I have some days I don't do it as well as others. I get sucked in, but on the whole, I'm able to. I've got so many duties and so many hats that I wear in life that I've got to stay self-disciplined.
Yeah, Derek. Now you're a very busy guy, but you seem to get it all together in there. Do you like schedule time out for yourself?
Yeah, just don't look behind the curtain. That's it looks good on that side, but yeah, it's a time suck. And I use in the Hootsuite program, I schedule a lot of tweets, like when I'm promoting blogs or on my voiceover blog talk page, which is a Scoop It page, which is where I basically just take everybody's blog and it goes into a magazine style format, so you can find them all. I schedule those when I put them in there. I schedule those through Hootsuite to go out at certain times of the day. It may take me half hour, 45 minutes, but I can do 24 hours worth of tweets, in a half hour to 45 minutes. So I think it's kind of like Trish said, and like John said as well, if you find the right tools that are out there, the third-party apps and the standalones like that, it really can help the time suck and help eliminate that if you're going to get in and do these things continuously. Another thing that I use the timing for is, I have a lot of friends and followers and clients or whatever, as everybody else does, across the pond and everywhere else in the world. So if I tweet something at 7 p.m. my time, odds are so-and-so in Amsterdam's not going to see it because they're asleep. So it can help me schedule certain tweets that I know I need to be seen in other places, 2, 3, 4 a.m. my time when I'm sound asleep, but somebody on the other side of the planet's going to see it. So, if you're disciplined, if you find the right apps to use and kind of get into, have your social media plan, if you will, on, tweets or Facebook posts or Google Plus or whatever, go through your checklist, get it done that day and then get out, or you're going to be there all day, unless it's something breaking. And that's one reason I like Twitter so much. If it's breaking, like when Robin Williams passed away or big events in the world, I love Twitter that way because I am just a current events junkie, and right there, it's just right there in your feed, and you can link on everything you want to see, and that can create a time suck, non-VO related. When you're on these sites.
Any of you guys dare venture? Sorry, Derek. Any of you guys dare venture into using probably the most brutally powerful and maybe dangerous to use tool, which is Social Oomph? Have you any of you guys used that?
I don't need to know.
I've heard of it, but I haven't used it.
Yeah. Well, Social Oomph takes the stuff that Hootsuite does with scheduling and takes it to a whole nother level, because what it lets you do is, and again, for reasons that you guys have mentioned, this may not always be a good idea, so you got to be careful with it. But you can have a gigantic vat of tweets that you preload, and it can rotate through those tweets on whatever interval that you want. Okay, so that's one thing.
I think Cavassier uses that because his stuff goes out all the time.
There are folks that we know for sure are using it.
That uses it?
I think Dave Cavassier uses that because his tweets go out at various topics all the time, and I'm sure that's what he's using or something like that.
Yeah,
that brings up a good question. Can you tweet too much? And I think you can.
Yes, I agree that you can, especially if you're self-promoting. I heard Trish one time on an episode of the Cafe with Terry talking about Twitter, and Trish, you talked about kind of a percentage of what you do, as far as like, maybe 75% maybe business, but 20% is personal, 5%, I can't remember what that was, but
it was 30-70 usually.
It really stuck with me on that, because I hadn't really thought about it before I heard you say that. And I thought, and it kind of goes back to what Lisa said earlier too, is you're not only just a voice actor, you're a human being, and you're a person, and you have families, and you have feelings, and you have insights on many other things. So why not share that? And Jerry, to me, it's the people that tweet all the time about, here's my latest, and I'm not going to name names, but boy, there are some people that just don't get how to use social media, but that's a whole other episode. But it's it is. We'll save that. But I think if you tweet too much about yourself, too much self-promotion in a way that just turns people off, yeah, you can do it. But I think you got to get a little personal stuff in there too. John and I have gone back and forth on Twitter before about our favorite sports teams or just certain topics, and it's fun that way, because you're sharing with people, human being style, not just my demo this and my explainer video that, and so I think there's got to be a fair percentage of that, and I thank Trish for that, for not even realizing that stuck with me earlier, but it really has.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm unique from you guys. Obviously, I'm a knowledge worker, mainly. So when I was using Social Oomph, I queued up a huge amount of tips. I called them pro tips. And I found it really, really did help, because you might have been spamming, but you're doing it in a sneaky way that you're giving people helpful information, but you are drawing attention to yourself. And then I had that queued up as one, what they call reservoir. I had another reservoir that was stuff that was deep linked into my website, because my website is pretty extensive and there's so much content on there. So I'd say, hey, maybe you haven't seen this blog I wrote 2 years ago on this topic. And I had this deep reservoir of those. And then they would pepper each of the different social networks at different times. So it would rotate. That tweet would go on Twitter, but it wouldn't show up on Twitter again for maybe 2 weeks. But maybe next week it would show up on Facebook. And
but did you find did that get you business, though?
I think it did. But the other problem is I was lousy at really tracking to see what it was doing for me. But I really think I was getting a lot of likes. I was getting a lot of favorites, a lot of retweets. Each time I did one of these, I'd get 2 or 3 retweets, which means that a whole new audience was seeing that tweet that wouldn't have seen otherwise. And so I think it was working. But I think for you guys, it's a little bit harder, because you're not knowledge workers. You don't have that content in a bin that is helpful to people. So you have to be a lot more creative about what you're going to put out there. But that's how I used it.
But sharing the good stuff that you find is also very helpful to other people. So, hey, I just saw this great story about this, and you share it. And it has nothing to do with your voiceover business. It might have to do with time management. It might have to do with something else that you're find that is helpful to you.
Yes.
And if it's helpful to you, then it's probably going to be helpful to somebody else.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things I share.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be original content. Just helpful to as many people as possible.
It's like it's content marketing. It's like giving something that people find valuable, some sort of content, whether it's your own content or someone else's content. And if they find that valuable, and it's not just you saying, "Hey, I'm a really awesome, talented voice actor." If you're actually giving something of value, people say, okay, you've actually done something good for me. Because let's be honest, when we're on social media, we're looking for stuff that's like cool to us, stuff that interests us, stuff that helps us. So when you think about it from that perspective, it's all about feeding content into the machine that, that other people find valuable, and especially your target audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think John's got a great point. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dan.
No, go ahead, Derek. You're on.
Just a quick expansion on what John said. I have built my social media friends, if you will, from that right there. I read a book called Launch by what's his name? Michael Stelzner, I think it is. Anyway, what he talked about was people love to see their own name. People love to hear their own name. People love to see their own stuff. And so what I started doing in my social media was, I'm going to share stuff that I find interesting that I think other people will. I'm going to put their name in the tweet or their name on the Facebook page or whatever to show that I'm sharing your stuff. I'm not trying to steal it. I'm sharing what I thought was cool that you shared. that has come back to me 1,000 times over. I can't even tell you, because of some of the tips of people that I've shared. I've gotten, I don't want to say it this way. It's not like I get free stuff, but I mean, I can call on some of these friends whose stuff I've shared. They've said, you've helped me out by sharing this or sharing that or sharing my blog or whatever. And I can ask them a question on any forum and they'll just pop an answer back to me. It's come back to me 1,000 times over. If you share people's names and if you share people's stuff, that's what this is all about, if you ask me.
Yeah, you're the king of that, Derek.
You are the king.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
Good to be the king.
Anyway, good to be the king.
We've got some questions from our audience here, so why don't we delve into some of those and try and get through some of those so we can not wrap it up, but we'll continue this as long as we can keep going. Tim McKean and Dave Smith sort of have the same question here. Personal social media versus dedicated voiceover brands. I know I have my own page for, just my social stuff. Keep away from politics. Boy, can you get into trouble with politics. I learned that one the hard way. But I also have several brands. We have the Home Studio Master, and we have EWABS, and we have my voiceover stuff. How do you separate those two? I mean, how do most of you handle that?
Or do you need to?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I understand the question.
Do you have a social page? I mean, just a regular, Lisa Rice, here I am, mom, that sort of thing, and your voiceover.
I don't ever talk about being a mom ever on social media. I am here, but
that's the fun stuff, though.
What?
That's the fun stuff, though.
Well, you know what? I don't, because my kids' lives are their own lives, and my husband's life is his own life, and I just don't feel like it's relevant to my business, but I sure enjoy looking at pictures of George's daughter, Ella.
I see. Yeah, you like to consume it.
I do. I love that. But I feel like there's certain things that are off. I'm not even going to go there, I guess. Right. I just don't even do it. I feel like, yeah. But I'm not sure though what you're I mean, I have my website. And then I have my branding, and I try to carry that across. I'm very careful to carry across my branding on anything that I do. Another thing that I do that you were talking about, Derek, is I kind of, it's not a very good word to use, but I guess I should say recycle instead of regurgitate. I've written for VoiceOver Extra and for voices.com, and I've done a few podcasts for them. And so, I have new followers all the time. And so I feel like they may not know about this article that I wrote, and it might help them out. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a link there. But I do try to stay consistent with my branding and with what I am putting out there.
Trish?
I still don't know what quite.
You don't get the question.
I think
somebody. Well, go ahead.
I think John's got it.
Yeah. He understood it. It must be a male thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, seriously. I think what you're getting at, if I understand it, is do you need do you want to promote your stuff on your personal Facebook page and then also have a business page, and
on Facebook.
Yeah, or something like that, or something. And I think the difficult thing with, and I still struggle with this, I'm still not sure what's right, but the difficult thing with our brands, our own personal brands, is that almost who we are and our personality and our voices and everything, it's so personal to us. It is who we are. And a lot of times our voice, sound, and brand is who we are also, as, just our personality is that way, just because that's how we talk, that's how we communicate. So it's difficult for us as voice actors and for you out there watching to disconnect those two things. So I don't know, like on Twitter, I'm both personal and my professional. It's also my business Twitter handle. I did get the handle for like my business page, but I decided I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to keep it all one. On Facebook, I do have a business page, but mainly because it allows me to kind of easily put my demos on there and easily put like a tab on there so they can click on it, listen to my demo, watch recent work, things like that. That's the main reason for that. But mainly I just keep it all both, and then kind of just watch what I say and not be too controversial where I'm talking about politics and things like that.
Right. I find that my dog Tinky gets more space than I do on my personal page. The static in her ears or all that stuff. If it's cute, I put it on there. That's like once every 4 or 5 months.
I use pets. I think my pets are adorable, and they don't worry. I don't worry about their privacy issues.
they don't take it too personally.
I agree on the keeping them separate. And one of the things that I do when I get people friending me on my personal Facebook page.
Oh yeah, this is a good
topic. I always tell them, this is my personal page. I talk about my voiceover business here, but I also talk about my 2 miniature dachshunds, and I also talk about my grandkids, and I pontificate about certain things once in a while. If you would like to connect with me professionally on my professional page, here's a link to that, and I'd welcome you in both places.
Is there a way to automate that?
No.
Yeah, exactly. I will say discretion is such a key word here because it's out there, whether you put it on your personal page or your business page. Obviously, you're not going to put things on your business page about politics and things that might be controversial, or you shouldn't. If you do it on your personal page, I can tell you there have been many times that I have seen something that has ticked me off so bad. I get that response typed in and then I just delete it. But at least I got it down there. But something clicked in my head that said, no, it's out there, and I think discretion is such a huge thing. And a filter is such a huge thing that John Florian and I talked about this. I'm going to be writing an article here pretty soon about filters, how to have one, and for those who don't, and here's what you need. And I think when I talked earlier about the people that kind of get it, you can set yourself up for a big problem if you don't use that discretion and you don't have that right kind of filter on your own personal stuff. Now, that said, are you limiting yourself as to who you are? Maybe. But I think in the big picture, if you're in business for yourself and there's a question in your mind, sleep on it and maybe post it tomorrow if it feels better. But discretion is huge in social media.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I do is I keep my timeline on Facebook clean. In other words, it doesn't go back that far. I keep it after the stuff has had its life. I go back and delete it. So I keep my timeline fairly short on Facebook, just for that reason.
Good idea. All right. Well, we got to take a little bit of a live break here because we're talking about the voiceover business, and the one guy who knows more about the voiceover business than all of us combined, because he was here from the dawn of voiceover. I don't know why I keep harping on that, but it's just funny. Harlan Hogan over at Voiceover Essentials has everything you could possibly ever need to do voiceover. He's got the books. He's got the equipment. He's got the VO1A voiceover mic, the specially tuned Signature Series headphones. My favorite thing, the automatic boom stop, the ABS, or the boom jockstrap, as some of us have called it. Make sure your boom doesn't fall over. You don't want to have that. You can go over to Voiceover Essentials because he's got something great every week. You can go over there and say, I need one of these. And if you go into that site, your chances are you're going to find it right off the bat. Is there anything interesting this week, George, over at the site?
Well, I was just focusing on the boom strap because just so people don't understand what this thing's for.
Until their mic's falling on their head.
If you went to Guitar Banjo Emporium,
yes.
And went and bought the $29.99 special mic stand, chances are your precious mic is not staying in place because the boom sags. The clutch, the thing that holds the stand in place, doesn't do a very good job holding up a mic that's much heavier than an SM58. And so this is the solution for that. For $20, I mean, it's way cheaper than buying a massive heavy-duty Atlas stand that weighs 30 pounds and costs $300. This is a much more practical solution. So if you had that issue, $19.95, Amazon Prime, and there's a return policy on all this stuff. So if it ends up not working out for you, he'll take it back.
Yep, that's the great thing about it. Great customer service, great products, and it's Harlan. who wouldn't want to do business with him? And we want to thank him for sponsoring our show for 155 episodes.
Since the very beginning.
Since the very beginning of the dawn of time of EWABS. Anyway, thank you very much, Harlan. We really appreciate your support on the show. There was a question. There's a couple of questions here about the one was about Google Analytics and stuff like that. Because George, you were talking about it earlier about how we look at the metrics on these things.
Yeah, how do we
know it's being effective?
How do we quantify the ROI of all the efforts that we're putting out there? Do you guys use any tools for that in your secret weapons, your secret arsenal of your Batman tool belt of social media?
I see Trish shaking her head. It's like, no, I don't.
Oh my God. And I know people that do, and that's fine. It just doesn't work for it. To me, it's just a lot of wasted time for me because I'm like one of the most disorganized people on the face of the earth. Like seriously, there's people in the chat room that just going, yeah.
You kidding me?
But I'm just, I don't know. I just don't. You know what? I think in 10 years of accounting, which is what I did before I did voiceovers,
You were a disorganized CPA?
No, I know. Well, no. I was corporate.
That's why she's not a CPA now.
Okay.
I did corporate accounting.
Oh, okay.
But the word drill down just makes me cringe. So I don't really do it anymore. In some ways I'd be interested, but other ways I kind of just cringe and I shy away from it, from any kind of analytics. I have Google Analytics. I look at the basic numbers. How many people, looked at my website this month? That's about it. I don't, and honestly, I get responses. To me, I'm having fun. I'm making money. It doesn't really matter as long as I'm enjoying myself and I can keep a roof over my head and food to eat.
Yeah,
that's the most important.
I think
thing.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. Now, J.S. Gilbert has a question. We're going to throw this question out to everybody, and then we're going to do pet peeves here. He says, will the panel answer this? Quote, the way to make money in social media is by making advocates, and I make advocates by... Derek, you go first.
I make advocates by trying to show them I know what I'm talking about in this business. I'm not at JS's level, obviously, as a voice talent, I can tell you that, but I try to show clients and potential clients that I'm in the business. I'm up to speed with the latest trends, maybe the latest equipment, the latest what's going on, showing them that I care about them. I follow, again, with discretion, I follow my clients. If I find a client I like, I will go find their Facebook page. I will like their page. If I've done something for them, I get their permission. I may share their explainer video on my page. It's a two-way thing there. So I think if you advocate for your clients and they advocate for you too, it's a win-win.
Absolutely. Jerry?
Got to turn the mic back on. I'm a big fan of sharing the wealth or sharing the information or sharing your friends. I always advocate the people that I do business with and try to make sure that they're successful in what they do at the same time, whether it be in a little extra PR for them or a little extra push on social media about a project they're involved in. I'm an advocate for the people that work with me and that are good clients, and they become return clients when we have a relationship. So I advocate relationships, I guess.
Yep. Lisa?
I use, I would say, I really do not use the day-to-day Twitter for getting business. I use it for sharing information, like Jerry said, kind of sharing what I do. It's like putting a worm out in the water, I guess, for whoever might be looking. But I don't use social media. To me, being a good advocate to my ongoing customers and potential customers is providing what I say I'm going to do when I said I was going to do it. and having them come back to me. And that has nothing to do with social media. So I'm going to excuse myself from that question, because I don't use social media for that. I use social media to connect on many different levels and to find potential clients, but I don't usually use it I don't use social media that way.
Yeah. Trish?
Can I actually go back to answering the question that I didn't get before?
Which was?
I like this one.
Yes, go ahead.
Do I use my social? I didn't realize you guys were talking about Facebook, but you mentioned the difference between your Facebook page, your regular profile page, and then your or our business.
Well,
page.
it can apply to Twitter too, because you said you have multiple Twitter channels. So do you have a personal Twitter channel and do you have a business Twitter channel?
They're all my separate businesses. I have one for the VoiceOver Cafe. I have one for Voice Casa, which is my Spanish casting site. I have one for Voice Tweet, which is my regular voice casting site, and Voice Overload, I think, which is just a directory type site, and then my own thing. So no, it's all VO and it's all business, but because I can't even imagine using Twitter for personal reasons. That's what I kind of use Facebook for, and that is my social. That's that's for my friends. And I learned early on, because I was making for everybody who would meet. I used to travel a ton. And for like 2 years straight, I was gone for like 8 months out of the year each year. And I met a lot of people and I just connected with them. And then they would they would friend me on Facebook or whatever. And then I was losing a lot of them. And I found out why is because I was talking about VO all the time on my social page, my personal profile page. So I'll mention something occasionally on my regular profile page these days, but generally I keep the VO stuff strictly on, and I mix personal and business on my business page, but I pretty much only deal with personal stuff on my personal page because they're my friends, they're my family. They don't really care about my VO stuff, and they have other places to find out if they really want to know about it. So to me, my social, my personal profile page on Facebook is definitely just used, 99 times out of 100. It's a personal update. So it's non-VO related.
Okay, we're going to go in the lightning round. Unless you want to say something on that one, John.
In terms of going back to JS's question, just about how to get other people to be our advocates, that's what he asked, right?
Yeah.
It's been so long. Okay. Just relationship building, just as Jerry said. I mean, just starting the conversation on social media, continuing it off social media, on email, on phone calls, things like that. Basically relationship building, and that's how I build advocates. But that's all I'll say on that. We can go on to the next question.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody gets 1 minute. And you don't have to use the whole minute, but you can't go over a minute. What is your worst pet peeve on social media? Because I got them. So let's just start from John. You go first, and then we'll work our way around here. And I have a stopwatch, so go.
I will say blatant, nonstop self-promotion and doing nothing else besides that. To me, that's not using social media. To me, all you're doing is just yelling at everyone to look at you, and no one wants to be the obnoxious guy at the party. So that's my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah. Trish, you must have a bunch.
Well, the thing that stands out most is Twitter. When I'm on Twitter, I see people posting the same thing over and over and over again. It's literally, they must be scheduled, but they literally don't mix it up at all. It's the same tweet over and over and over again. And if you go to their profile page, it's just the same one. You can read them all, and they're the same exact thing all the way down. And it's going back to John's problem is it's really annoying and it doesn't create interaction. And that's what Twitter is all about, going to a party.
Those get unfollowed.
Yep. Mrs. Rice?
Mine would be self-promotion constantly, same old tweets. I would agree with Trish. if somebody's going to tweet about politics, I'm okay with that if it's periodically, but to be honest, that's not why I'm on there, to find out what your political leanings are. I try to stay neutral on that. And then people that don't communicate, they're just constantly putting something, and that takes time to communicate. Sometimes I'll get on there and I'm wanting to communicate, but nobody's on there to communicate with. I can just tell they're scheduled tweets. And so I'll maybe go back through their stream of what, people that I typically will communicate with, and I'll go in their old tweets and find something to comment on, because I'm looking to communicate. I want to learn, and I want, like I said before, I would like to see what you're doing and to encourage you.
All right, Jerry.
Negativity. If constantly everything you say is negative, without something positive in between, something good to say in between, that'll get you unfriended real quick.
Yeah. Derek.
Okay, I've got 3. I'll do them real quick in a minute. Okay, the first is, don't send a tweet or a Facebook post that says, please like my page, for no reason. Give people a reason to like your page. Don't just beg for likes. That drives me nuts when people beg for likes. I hate that. Second of all, I read a lot of blogs, and when I go to somebody's blog and it says Jerry's blog, and there's no other info on there of who they are, you wouldn't believe how many blogs I read that don't have a last name, that don't have a link, that don't have a anything. It's just Bob's blog. Who are you? Put all your info on there so we know who you are. Third is people who post, who don't post in groups, but only comment. And their comments are usually negative or start a problem. You know what? If you got the cojones to be in the group, post something original on your own once in a while. Don't just show up and comment and stir things up. That's my 3.
And there are the opposite to those people is there's people that just post and never comment and never take part in the conversation.
Yeah. Mine would be humble braggers.
Humble braggers.
Humble braggers. Humble braggers are people who, I just booked a job with so-and-so and did this and that.
Yes.
And, it's really, it's hard to say it's bad because it's a positive, right? So saying that something's positive as being a negative is, maybe that's the problem with humble brag. But I think a lot of people, it hurts their self-esteem because it's a comparison. They feel like they're being compared to internally. They're looking at the other person, and it's difficult for a lot of people to go, you go. I can barely pay for my grocery bill this month,
That's right.
And
exactly.
Maybe it's part of the power of positive thinking. Maybe it's metaphysical. You can look at it on a lot of levels, but I think that humble brag is a little overdone, and just think of something more helpful to the community to contribute, I think, is my little thing.
Yeah. And I agree with Derek, because his number 3 was my number 1, which is people who just jump on there to be negative. They want to participate in the Monty Python argument clinic. Oh, you don't? Yes, I do. They're incredibly passive aggressive about it. They'll throw something out there. They'll bait you with something, and just like, don't get sucked in.
Yeah.
Those are the things that bug me the most on there. And I spend a lot of time in the forums, but we're trying to get information out there, and people just seem to like, well, that's not right. Well, explain. Just don't say it ain't right. Just because something works for you.
Right.
Anyway, I want to thank our wonderful guest tonight. This has been just a fabulous conversation. We are going to have again, because in 6 weeks, the entire social media thing will be changed anyway. Someone's going to come up with something else.
Certainly in 6 months.
And then we're going to have to learn the whole new process here.
Certainly in the 6 months.
Please no.
Yeah, definitely.
You mean 6 weeks?
or tomorrow
6
morning.
days. Yeah,
True,
it's going to say 6 hours from now.
Yes. Anyway, I'd like to thank John Lano, Trish Bassani, Lisa Rice, Jerry Reed, and Derek Chappell. Thank you so much for being with us on our first social media roundtable. It has been a pleasure.
Woo-hoo.
Dude,
Thanks, thank you.
Thanks,
all righty.
Great to see you all.
All right.
And just so you guys know, you don't see it, but I've had a lower third of each of you with your Twitter handles. So
Very
you don't have to
classy.
plug anything. You've all been Everybody knows your Twitter handles. But if you do want to get all one quick plug to any one thing, say it now. Starting with John.
I just say, follow me on Twitter. I also have a blog that I have not been posting regularly as much, Derek. I'm sure you've noticed that. I'm kind of revamping the how I'm going to go about that. But that's at voiceovergenie.com/blog. So
Trish.
over there.
The Voiceover Cafe podcast, Terry Daniel and I, and Peter Bishop, and Jordan Reynolds, and Sean Caldwell. We all get together every so often when we can, and we have roundtables kind of like this, and sometimes we have great guests like the voice of Siri, and we have a Disney animator coming up that we're in the middle of scheduling. So we got some really cool guests. voiceovercafe.org.
Lisa.
My website is lisaricevoice.com. My branding is Natural Convincing Voice. I have a blog, and would love for you to follow me on Twitter. And I usually follow back, especially voiceover talent. I think it's a great community. Voiceover talent is voiceover community is very, very giving.
Indeed. Jerry.
Well, just remember, I'm not the guy with Burt Reynolds in the movie. JerryReed.com is the website. Jerry's Voice is the blog, and the brand is Warm Tone Natural Finish.
You just trademarked that, didn't you, Jerry?
What's that?
You just trademarked that, didn't you?
I did, with the help of Rob Signampaglia, if I can say it right.
He's good at that sort of thing.
Derek.
Since this is VO related and mostly VO people watching, my blog is thevoiceofyourbusiness.com/blog. It's full, hopefully, of information you can use and enjoy. And if you do write a blog and you don't see it listed on my blog roll, contact me. There's a contact section there. Send me your blog link, and I will be sure and add it to my list.
All righty. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks,
all right.
Thanks, George.
That was awesome.
Good to see you guys.
Thanks.
I got a rush from a roundtable like that. I do, man. I want to go F&A, man. No, it's great.
Guys, I got to tell you, I love your show, and to be on here with people like you who are just so well versed in this business. I still do it part time. I practice law full time, so I'm still trying to get where you guys are. But it was an honor for me to be involved in this. I appreciate it very much.
Our pleasure to have you on. Well, should we run a spot and then do our goodbyes, or should we just get out of here?
Let's let everybody go, and we'll do our obligations at the end here.
Okay.
Yeah,
you guys did a great job. I love your show. I wish I could listen every time. I listen when I walk. I go back to YouTube and I listen. That's how I catch up. You do a great job.
Thank you.
She listens to the podcast.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Did you realize we didn't talk about YouTube at all?
Yeah,
No.
that's not right.
I know.
We didn't even talk about that at all.
This show's
There
not
you go.
about us.
There's part 2, Dan. We didn't even talk about YouTube as a social media platform.
We might even do a YouTube special, like just nothing about
That's
YouTube.
true, because you and I both throw a lot of stuff on YouTube. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, like Jerry said, we're voice people. Why not use the platform where people can hear us? I mean, hear our stuff.
SoundCloud.
And see it,
and
right.
all that, yeah.
Absolutely.
Now that it's Google, it's going to be pretty important, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What a
big
topic
time.
for another night.
Yes.
By the way, SoundCloud considers themselves social media too.
I know.
I have a pet peeve
True.
with it. Too,
All
so.
right. Man, we got more to talk
That
about.
one right over there.
Yeah.
All righty,
Thanks,
we'll be
guys.
right back after this. Thanks everyone for being with us.
Great, guys. Good to see you.
VoiceOver Extra, the voiceover industry's online news, education, and resource center 24/7. Hundreds, probably thousands of free how-to articles for voiceover success, ranging from home studio to voice acting to business. A free voiceover industry directory, calendar of industry events, resource links, a store, and much more. Bi-monthly webinars on all topics of voiceover, free subscriptions to newsletters, reports, announcements, daily news, and features at voiceoverextra.com.
You know it's true. The best way to learn something, anything, is to completely live it, to breathe it, to experience it, to immerse yourself totally in it. Welcome to VoiceOver Immersion, only at Voice 2014. The VoiceOver International Creative Experience. The Voice Convention is 3 days of complete and total immersion in the craft and the business of voiceover. Voice is all about education, technology, and community. At the Voice Convention, you'll have an opportunity to meet and network with some of the top voiceover professionals and coaches from around the world. There are more than 30 programs and special events scheduled with coaches from the United States, Canada, Germany, the United Kingdom, Argentina, and more. Are you struggling with your auditions? Do you perhaps have some challenges with your equipment? Well, Voice is where you will get your questions answered. Every major niche of voiceover is covered. Audiobooks, promo, commercials, corporate narration, and a lot more. Ask anyone who's been to a voice convention and they'll tell you it's a fire hose of information. It's a life-changing and a career-changing experience. There's no other voiceover event like it.
If you haven't been here, you need to come. It has far exceeded my expectations.
I have learned so much from the presenters at this event.
Whether you're a working pro or just getting started, it doesn't matter. Because at Voice, you can get the tools you need to take your voiceover work not just to the next level, but to a level you've never dreamed of. The VoiceOver International Creative Experience. VoiceOver Immersion. Only at Voice 2014, August 27th through the 30th in Anaheim, California. And please join us in welcoming our premier sponsor, Edge Studio. The VoiceOver International Creative Experience. So what are you waiting for? You know you want to be there. Register today at voice2014.com. Voice 2014, making your voiceover work better than ever.
Whence came these two radiant celestial brothers, united for an instant as they crossed the stratosphere of our starry window? One from the east and one from the west.
Very good. Very good.
I'm going to keep playing that one until somebody busts me for using it.
That's amazing they haven't yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Of course, first, a couple of things. Who are our latest donors? We got a couple. Eric Aragoni, of course, who was having a little trouble and showed us the problems we were having with the website, which we will solve. Of course, we solved it tonight with just giving you guys alternate links.
Yeah, thank goodness for
that was great.
For backup plans. We're getting sustaining donations that have come in lately from Patty Gibbons. We've got one from a donation from Philip Sapir, Sapir. Philip is doing sustaining, it looks like, as well. And we've got one. Don Griffith bought some clickers. You got to ship out 2 more clickers, Dan, when you get back.
Yes, I know, because I have them. I kept the 2 at home so I can mail them when I get back. But we still have clickers. They come in these great plastic bags, which you can probably use for something else. But we will mail those out to you. Great for making sure that
and the great
get your edits in there.
And the great clicker debate still burns on the audiobook group on Facebook.
Really? I haven't seen that at all.
I go in there from time to time because it's a pretty active group, and there's some people who are staunch advocates saying it absolutely saves times. Others that have tried both and have said no way. I think the clicker is a really efficient way to record long form and edit. So.
Absolutely. All righty. Future shows. We've got a fans roundtable coming up. Is that going to be the one after? No, we're going to be doing, George and I are going to be at Voice 2014 this week.
Yeah.
We're going to be dark next Monday.
Yeah, this coming Monday, we're dark.
Right. A week from tonight, we will not be here.
Yeah.
But there's 155 episodes you can watch anyway. So don't. It's not like what am I going to do?
Or you can log into
episode 40.
We always say log into the chat room because some of you are going to wander in there going, "Hey, where's the show?" And before you know it, there's a conversation going. So
that's right. Anyway, so that's Labor Day. And again, so Labor Day is still spelled the Canadian way.
Right. It's funny.
Right. All right. September 8th, we're going to broadcast the show we do from Voice 2014, which should be a lot of fun because we have no idea what's going to happen there. We never do. But
yeah.
basic idea what's going to go on there. And then on September 15th, we're going to do a fan roundtable. We're going to try and stuff as many people as we can in here.
I'm going to try to break Zoom.
Yeah, let's see. I don't think it can be done.
We have a 25 head limit, so we can see if we can hit 25.
Yeah, and get everybody in there, and everybody can get their point across as long as it's not political.
Yeah.
All right, please like us on Facebook, even though some of these people say, Facebook, who cares about Facebook? We care about Facebook because we promote the show there. People actually do pay attention to it there. Please follow us on Twitter because apparently that's important.
Did you notice the trend tonight? Everybody said that they're
a lot of Twittering
active,
in there.
Yeah, active on Twitter.
And make sure you go onto YouTube and subscribe to all our videos. EWABS Essentials, of course, all episodes of the show are on there.
Mm-hmm.
Missed one, a guest you didn't think maybe you caught on watching the show after episode 100, which many of you did. Go back, look at some of the earlier shows and see some of the people who are on because everything they said was completely relevant today.
I threw us up on Stitcher finally. I thought that maybe we would automatically show up on Stitcher, but it turned out we didn't. So I submitted us to that, and they, for putting our show on Stitcher, they tweeted about it, which was pretty cool. So that put us in front of a lot more eyeballs. So we are on Stitcher if you're a Stitcher fan. That's the way you consume your podcasts. Otherwise, the usual iTunes and most any other pod-catching app, you'll find EWABS on there, and our EWABS podcast feed is at ewabs.podbean.com.
All righty. And of course, we want to thank our sponsors again, Harlan Hogan, VoiceOver Extra, Edge Studios. We're going to do some heavy duty Edge hanging out this week, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get to hang out with the whole Edge crew. I'll be sitting at the Edge table, taking a nonstop stream of questions about which microphone to use, and hopefully I will take breaks as well.
Yes, just don't sit on the edge of the Edge table. It could be a bit of a problem there. Of course, we'd like to thank our wives. But right now, I'd like to thank my mom for letting us do the show from my mom's house tonight.
Thanks, Mom.
and Marcy back at home looking after the farm. Our producer Kathy Curridin for lining up this wonderful panel tonight.
Yeah.
They were just fabulous. Jack DeGolia for doing the show notes, which will probably be voluminous this week. Tim McKean for working on VoiceOver Essentials, and Lee Pinney, who we're going to spend some quality time with this week for working on the podcast.
Thank you, everybody. Man, you guys all keep this show current and in front of as many eyeballs and earballs, eye holes and ear holes as Tom Kenny put it as possible. Thanks, guys.
Pretty amazing.
Whew.
All right. Yeah, somebody's saying Jason, curfew?
A new record.
I got to eat something. I've been traveling all day.
Hour
then I had
and 45
my mom's
minutes.
chores.
Yes.
And now we're going to go eat. And it's actually getting dark in the west. So it's getting darker 3 hours after it already got dark in the east. So that's true. My mom, everybody. There she is. Wave hello.
Hi there.
Hi, Mom. Hi.
So anyway, well, that's going to do it for us this week. See all of you that are going to be at Voice 2014. Looking forward to seeing you, shaking some hands, getting some hugs, and handing out some stuff. Should be good. We got special stuff that we're going to hand out that you're going to want. It's worth the price of admission just to come to get the stuff we have. All right, now we're starting to ramble. It's almost 11 o'clock in the east. Take me home, Mama. All righty. I'm Dan Leonard, usually in the east.
And I'm George Woodham, still here in the west.
And together we are East-West Audio Body Shop. Have yourselves a great week. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and have a wonderful one.
Good night, y'all.
Bye.